The year was 1963 when the humble beginnings of what would become Roice-Hurst Humane Society took root. 6 decades ago, when a pet was found on the streets of western Colorado, help was scarce. No humane society or animal services existed in the area at the time, causing lost and abandoned pets to depend entirely on caring citizens to open their hearts and homes to survive. Among these citizens were the families of Joe Roice and Pat Hurst, who owned farmland-turned-refuge for pets in need. In 1963, the initial goal was to simply provide care for stray, unwanted animals with whatever funds the two families and their friends could spare. A few years later, a compassionate young girl stumbled upon a heartbreaking sight. An abandoned mother dog, later named Lady, huddled with her newborn puppies underneath an old mattress at the now-defunct Redlands landfill. The publicity of Lady's rescue sparked a community-wide movement to help more pets, and in 1967, retired nurse Ida Kruckenberg formally incorporated Mesa County Humane Society alongside the Roice and Hurst families. The first official shelter was Joe Roice's chicken coop, where Mesa County Humane Society grew steadily until moving into a shelter building on D&a-half Road in Clifton in 1973. Nearly 30 years later, the organization became Roice-Hurst Humane Society to honor the late founding members. 60 years did not pass without major challenges. In fact, the prospect of closing its doors for good seemed not just possible, but inevitable at many points through the organization's history. Over the decades, Roice-Hurst faced various allegations of mismanagement, fraud, embezzlement, animal mistreatment, and other scandals, including an ugly legal battle over rights to the shelter building. Maintaining a well-run, financially healthy organization was a consistent battle. Finally, in 2008, Roice-Hurst announced that it would be closing its doors permanently due to financial struggles. That dreadful announcement sparked an outpouring of support from Western Colorado's community of animal lovers, and Roice-Hurst Humane Society received more than $200,000 in donations in just 2 weeks, allowing the shelter to remain open and caring for pets. A particular group of women rallied the community for support and were elected as Roice-Hurst's brand new board of directors, beginning from scratch.
I'm Julie Buteras, and I got involved in 2008 when it was going to be closed. We said, well, I guess we better do something. We all went to a back room. There were several ladies, and just decided that we needed to become the board. And everybody said, well, I'll do this, and you be secretary, who wants to be treasurer? And that's how we ended up with our beginning board in 2008, not knowing what we were getting into, but we wanted to save the shelter.
The new board of directors, while inexperienced in animal welfare, were fueled by their desire to ensure homeless pets in our community continued to have a safe place to go. One of the newest board members was local businesswoman Elaine Johnson Craig.
I understand that we were down to 3 bags of dog food in the shed. That's how dire things were. I don't know what we had in the bank at the time, but that has always stuck with me, is we're never going to go back there again if I had anything to do about it. So the community did step up and donate both in kind and in money enough to keep the doors open. But when the board really started looking at what we had and what we needed, we were in debt, several months in debt. We really didn't have enough money on an ongoing basis to keep operating and sustaining. Plus we had that trust that we were afraid we'd lost with the public with. Obviously we were front page news at the time, but we also had a wonderful community, a wonderful board, staff and volunteers that all said failure's not an option. Now we've been around for generations of people and their pets that we've been saving, and nobody wanted to see that go away, and we were determined not to let that happen.
They worked diligently to fundraise, create new systems, train new employees, and continue providing care to the animals who needed them.
One of the most important things that really helped us over that financial brink was, and totally unexpectedly, we got a couple of just wonderful estate gifts from people that we really didn't know about or were coming. And then most impactfully was the Waldeck Endowment Fund through the Western Colorado Community Foundation. So Joellen Waldeck and her family donated to several charities, and we were luckily one of the ones, and that truly kept our doors open.
One of the issues the team faced was a failing shelter building with various code and safety issues. In 2011, the board made a deal with Mesa County to swap the failing building for Mesa County Animal Services' former building on 28 Road, allowing Roice-Hurst to move into a more suitable shelter space without taking on debt. Mark DeWolf, a commercial construction manager, generously donated time and materials to update the building. In 2015, Anna Stout, a nonprofit founder and small business owner, was hired as Roice-Hurst's temporary executive director and tasked with building sustainable systems in order for a permanent director to take over within a year.
I admittedly did not know much about Roice-Hurst when I joined, and that was actually probably for the better, given some of the history that the organization has. But after just a couple months in the position and really getting to see the organization from the inside out, I knew that this was not a one-year project. To really not just bring it to where it needed to be, kind of baseline, but all the potential that I saw in the organization for things that we could be doing for the community beyond just sheltering animals. It was just obvious early on that if I left in a year, I would be leaving so much potential unrealized.
One of Anna's first priorities was to repair the community's trust by initiating a major culture shift within the organization.
When people walked through the door, they were sort of met with this attitude of, oh, you want to adopt from us? Well, prove it to us that you'll be a good pet owner. Or when somebody came to surrender a pet, they were met with the judgment of, like how irresponsible you are to be coming to the animal shelter with this pet. And so we worked really hard to shift that attitude, and we created a culture of default empathy, and we still to this day, that's one of our staff mottos, is that we default empathy. We don't default straight to judgment. We look at everybody who comes in as a partner in our mission of how we serve pets in this community. So the idea that anybody who comes in to the animal shelter to adopt and they're not going to Craigslist or to a backyard breeder, that automatically tells us that their heart is in the right place and that their intentions are good. So we work with people who come through our door in a really positive way to be adopters. The same goes for people who bring animals to us. Rather than judging people for walking through the doors with a pet for whatever reason, we default to having compassion for how hard that is, gratitude for the person making the choice to bring an animal to a place where they know it'll be safe and cared for, and that they trust us. And then finally, just this idea that when you bring an animal in, it's because you're trying to do the best thing for it. Our culture shifted when we started changing the way that we view people in our, sort of in our realm here. And it changed everything. It changed how we related with each other. It changed how we felt about our jobs. It changed how the community felt about us and our role.
Today, Roice-Hurst Humane Society is more impactful and successful than ever before in our 60-year-long history, thanks to visionary leadership, endless determination, and most of all, the unwavering support of our community. Over 6 decades, our supporters have grown Roice-Hurst into much more than a shelter and have transformed the lives of countless pets and their people.